financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Pat Simaska, good to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Pat's our elder law expert. Jenny Wingle,
Good morning,
our
Ken.
tax expert and our friendly face.
Good to see you.
Brian Small, our bankruptcy debt resolution happy face as well. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Today's topic the name of this topic has been named by Brian, not me, and it's called Old School is Old News.
That's right.
So it seems as though I gave you the opportunity to name the show. Explain to me, without taking the entire show, what you mean by old school is old news.
Old school is the definition is defined by work hard, be a good citizen, pay your bills, own the biggest house you can, and all good things will happen to you. Period. Because that's tradition. That's the way we were raised. Everybody that exists right now was taught that lesson when they were growing up.
And that lesson was true from when to when?
From 1931, after the Great Depression, to 2008, 2009, at the beginning of the Great Recession.
Okay, and then and you're saying that's old news?
It was all wrong.
All right, why is that old news and what do you mean?
Well, why is it old news?
And who's stuck on this issue?
Who's stuck?
The older people?
Yeah, you know,
How do you define older people?
baby boomer
Anyone
generation.
older than you?
The baby boomer generation is most significantly part of the old school. As you
I just want to say something. There's the great generation, which was my father's generation, the World War II
World War
vets.
II guys, yeah.
I consider them old. Being a baby boomer, I just want to register a minor objection
No, we do not
to your
consider you
comment.
old, but you were taught old school ways by the generation that learned it the best.
Okay, I will
Okay.
accept that.
But the world changed in 2008. And when the world changed, those that change with it succeed. Those that continue to follow the old school rules are the ones that are running out of money.
All right, so how do you mean? I follow what you're saying, and I agree with the point that if the rules of the game have changed, play by the new rules and play to win.
That's right.
All right, what are the new rules?
New rules. No matter what, have money in the bank. No matter what, don't have any debt. And no matter what, make sure that you protect yourself and your family, because the government isn't going to do it for you. The banks aren't going to do it for you. And at the end of the day, it's you taking care of you and your family. And that is the single most important thing you have to do. And that means that if it means that you're going to not pay your bills in order to have money in the bank, you have to recognize and absorb that, and that's a new rule.
Okay, I'm with you. And I kind of sometimes say it in a slightly different way. If you look during the financial crisis, what we saw the banking industry got bailed out, the insurance industry got bailed out, the auto industry got bailed out, which was good for us as Detroiters. So
I didn't get bailed out. Did you get bailed out? I didn't get a check.
Consumers didn't get bailed out. Consumers got very inadequate relief from the standpoint of the home affordable loan modification programs and everything else. The other thing that we saw was a mentality on Wall Street that said anything that they do to protect their shareholder interest was applauded as smart, but they at the same time had a double standard pointing to people saying, well, you should still pay your credit card bills. You should still pay your house underwater. You borrowed the money. That double standard is what we saw during the Great Recession.
We created too big to fail.
Correct. And
Okay.
and we still
the
have
big
it.
guy isn't allowed to fail. The individual gets
They could
trampled
care,
on.
They could care less what they failed. My classic example is American Airlines. When they filed bankruptcy, I think it was 2010, they had something like $2.5 billion of cash in the bank. Wall Street, and they filed to cancel their union contract. Wall Street applauded it as a brilliant financial move. At the same time, Wall Street was criticizing Joe on the street for walking away from his house or refusing to pay for a mortgage when his house was $200,000 underwater. So the new standard says play by the same set of rules, play to survive. It's an essential. Now I want to go and I want to take a case study and use John and Barbara as our example of what they need to do.
Will the names change of the players in the middle, or should we keep with
Probably.
John and Barbara?
We'll try and keep them as John and Barbara, but you never know with me. John is 76. Barbara is 74. So they're baby boomers. They're not the great generation, but they're old baby boomers. Here's their basic numbers. Their income. They've got Social Security income of $3,500. Barbara has a state of Michigan pension for $500. So they've got
These are all net figures that we're working
Yeah,
on.
they got
What you take home.
$4,000 coming in. Yeah, but it's Social Security, so it's not grossed up very much other than the Medicare.
Right.
Expenses: apartment, $1,500. Utilities, all the utilities, $300. I think that was a reasonable number. $350 one car payment, $300 for car insurance and fuel a month, $800 for food, $300 for insurance, $1,250 for credit cards, total $4,800. They're negative $800 per month.
Hey, Ken, can I jump in there real quick? And
You can, but we're coming up to a break. But go ahead.
well, I'll hit it after the break then, because it's sort of a big change that's coming out real quick with regards to health insurance.
Yeah, in fact, I saw that too. We'll talk about that in a second. And then their assets, they've got $3,000 of cash, $75,000 in an IRA. So they got $78,000 in assets, $50,000 in credit card, $10,000 in hospital bills, liabilities of $60,000. Their net worth is $18,000. We're going to analyze after the break what should John and Barbara do and what will happen to them if they don't do anything from the standpoint of their IRA, and will they have enough money to live.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Fav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Fav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. All right, so we've got John and Barbara. Here's the story. They're spending $800 more per month than they're bringing in. And then, Pat, you had something that you wanted to add.
Oh, it's going to be huge. Blue Cross Blue Shield just announced they're going to be having a rate increase, and it's going to be based on people's ages and locations. The typical Blue Cross is about $122 a month, and that's been historically kept down. It could go up between $50 a month to $150, $200 a month per person. Older you are, the more it can go up.
And I read this say the biggest increases are for the older people.
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
What they're thinking is that it's unsustainable because it's been historically kept low. Now they're going to uncap it, and the price is going to go up. And you look at someone with $1,500 a month Social Security, and now their Blue Cross is doubling. That may be 10-15% of their income.
That's
so where
great.
are they going to get it from? Food?
Well, they're not going to get it from the increase in Social Security because they didn't
There
even
wasn't.
get one
Yeah,
last
there
year.
wasn't.
But that's
there
the
wasn't.
And they
thing.
probably won't have one next year either because fuel prices are still very low.
That is
Inflation
why it is so
returning to zero.
important to learn a new lesson and go from old school to new school. You have got to, especially when you're on a fixed income, you have got to figure out a way to get rid of the debt so that you can bear with these crazy health insurance issues and things like that that you have no control over.
right, well,
because you're going to have that supplemental
start
insurance.
Let's get back to their numbers, and I want you to know I'm going to give you a free license for old school, new school for this whole segment. But when we get into next week's show, I don't want to keep hearing about old school, new school, except on a limited basis. Is that fair? Do we have an understanding?
What
This is a
about what
contract.
about private school?
There you go. Okay. Here's my point with John and Barbara, and it goes right to what Pat's saying. If their costs are going up, it's going to be worse. But even where they are right now, if they have a $75,000 IRA, divide that by the $800 a month they're hemorrhaging. That's only 94 months. 94 months divided by 12 is 7.8 years. That means in 7.8 years, John's going to be 84 and Barbara's going to be 82. That's not 95. That's not death. That means there's still, if all things are going well and they're good health, they're going to have another 10 years of potential life, and they're not going to have any money.
It's
The
gonna be-
IRA will be zero.
It'll be even less than that because we forgot to deduct the taxes. That $75,000 is the gross.
That's
when you pull
right,
it
they
out,
gotta pay.
you're at 20% tax
They're
bracket.
probably down to 79, 78. So the question is, in John and Barbara's situation, they're not in a situation of saying, they don't have the luxury of saying, it's not that big of a problem, I've got the IRA right now. They need to have the foresight and their eyes open to realize, unless they act now, they are going to be broke and they are going to be living. And just the way we're saying, and their Medigap insurance and their prescription insurance is going to keep going up. Lord knows what we're going to see in terms of increases in Social Security. We haven't been seeing much. They have a massive problem. So the question is, what is their solution? And Brian, I'm going to go to you and ask you straight out, new school, is Chapter 7 bankruptcy the right solution for John and Barbara? Because they're old school and they go, I don't want to file bankruptcy.
Okay, well, let's talk about, we need that $75,000 to last the rest of their life. They have a fixed income. There is no opportunity for them to add income into their lifestyle, into their lives. A
I
chapter,
suppose John could go drive a cab,
or
work at a golf course.
sure,
I always wanted to work at the golf course.
but
drive around in the golf
let's
cart.
just make the assumption that
I
there
can never
really
find
is
my
no
own ball when
additional
I'm
income.
golfing. How am I going to find someone else's ball?
Well, let me throw
Mr.
something
Ranger,
in.
sir.
People want to retire so fast and so early. Now their retirement account has to last a lot longer on this fixed income. They can't go to work when they're 84, but they sure could work a few more years later when
Yeah.
they're 65.
Yep.
Hold Social Security, work a few more years.
Don't draw the Social Security
Yeah,
until
have it
70.
go
But
Well,
if you
right.
follow Ken's basic plan, which is own your house, paid in full, have money in the bank, and have no debt, you will have the option conceivably to retire at the earliest age possible. So
tell me how Chapter 7 works for them, and is that the right solution?
In this case, for John and Barbara, it absolutely is the right solution. It is the least costly, most effective method to get rid of the debt. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy will wipe out their $50,000 worth of credit card debt, will wipe out their $10,000 worth of hospital bills. It will allow them to keep every penny that's in their IRA.
Their IRA is not touched?
The IRA cannot be touched. IRA, 401k, 459, 403b plan, whatever it is, it cannot be touched by any creditor ever, and it's perfectly 100% safe in a bankruptcy. It doesn't have to be $75,000. It could be $1 million, and it still couldn't be touched. The key is eliminating the debt so that John and Barbara go from spending $1,250 a month on credit card debt, being $800 in the hole every month, to being cash flowing positive. And with the change in the Medigap situation about to come, that cash flow positive is going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So we need to make sure that John and Barbara, if they need to tap their IRA, can do it to keep a roof over their head, not to pay Visa and MasterCard.
You know, it's interesting. When I wrote the outline, it was before the Blue Cross announcement, and I put them $450 a month positive. And now when you're looking at it, that $450 a month positive is going to evaporate. Not only are they going to have an increase in their Medigap insurance, but rent keeps going up. They don't own their own house. Landlords do not care about the tenant's ability to pay. They care about any tenant's ability to pay, and if they can charge more rent and receive it, either you pay it or they'll find another tenant.
It's urgent that John and Barbara act now.
Because they're still going to need to tap into that IRA to supplement their income, but they won't need to do it that quickly.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you're approaching retirement and don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your investments, and your savings. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Putting a solid strategy in place with Samasco Law legally protects your assets as well as your wishes. Since a will doesn't cover you medically or financially, Samasco Law goes beyond ordinary asset management protection to safeguard everything you have.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the medicated nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt.
If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. Before we get back to John and Barbara and go through the issues that they also and the questions in their mind about filing a bankruptcy, let's do announcements. Tuesdays, listen to us noon to 1, 6 to 7 p.m. Law and Reality Live on WCHB 1200 a.m. Thursdays, 3 to 4, Law and Reality Now with Cliff Russell on 9:10 a.m. We've got 2 seminars coming up on Wednesday, August 24th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. I'm not going down with the ship. Time to ditch the debt. This is a seminar focusing on all the ways and strategies we employ to preserve future income. Bankruptcy sometimes, bankruptcy not sometimes. There's solutions outside of bankruptcy. How to deal with tax debt. All of those issues, we cover it in a very good, comprehensive way. Seminars are all free. Attendees on this seminar get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. You can sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. That's Wednesday, August 24th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. Seminars fill up fast, so you should sign up as soon as possible. You can, and if I didn't give the number, you can call 888-235-HELP. The next seminar is Wednesday, August 31st, featuring Pat's going to walk us through, and the title is Medicaid for Dad. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Help. Which is exactly what you encounter every single day, because no one knows what to do until they find someone like Pat who knows exactly what to do. Pat's going to walk through the Medicaid process, how you save your assets so that you have money for one spouse when the other spouse is in the nursing home, and so that you don't, when it's only one parent left, so that all of that money doesn't go to the nursing home. Something's left for the children, so that you can pass something on with all the hard work that you've done during your life. I'm going to talk about basic estate planning. Brian's going to talk about debt issues. This seminar is designed for anyone between 40 and 100. If you're 40 to 60, you have estate planning to do for yourself, but you also have a responsibility of figuring out how to help mom and dad, because now it's reversed. You become the primary responsible person to making sure they're taken care of. They took care of you. It's payback time. Sign up, lawandreality.com, thavgross.com, call 888-235-HELP. We also have free reports. Go to our websites and you can pick up 3 free reports. Pat's got a report, Retiree's Guide to Social Security. We have a report on business formation, loans and grants for small businesses in Detroit and Michigan. 14 free programs that are available to fund money in Detroit businesses, Metro Detroit businesses, beyond commercial banks. We all kind of know that the commercial banks are happy to lend billions of dollars to major companies. It's hard to go to a commercial bank and borrow $50,000 to $100,000 to get your company going. These programs are designed to address those issues. Contact names, phone numbers, everything's in that report. We compiled it ourselves. Also, I have a report, How to Save Your Home with Regulation X, The Hidden Secrets. All 3 reports are free. You just go to the websites, you download them. If you're not website familiar, if you're one of our great generation people that still don't use the internet, you can still call 888-235-HELP, and we will actually mail you the seminar.
You could be my mother.
Mail you the report.
You could be my mother, who's part of the baby boomer generation, and still can't use a VCR.
There you go. And I want to thank our sponsors, Stav
What's a
Gross and
VCR?
Samasco Law. She can't use a VCR.
No.
Well, nobody can use a VCR anymore. It's like Jenny said, nobody even knows what they are anymore.
No, they still have one. Trust
So
me.
I think she doesn't
Beta,
stream anymore.
Beta or VHS?
No, she doesn't know how to use a computer at all.
All right, let's get back to John and Barbara before we're out of time. All right, so you've convinced me. The smart move for John and Barbara is clearly to file a Chapter 7. But let me raise with you John and Barbara's concerns that we hear in our office every day that we meet with John and Barbara. Number 1, I don't want to file bankruptcy. That's not how I was raised.
Old school.
It's old school, but the thing to say to John and Barbara is, let's be practical. What's better, running out of money and being broke when you're, like we said, 78, 79 with inflation, or having the money that you need to live the rest of your life? At the end of the day, what's more important to you? They're going to say it's more important to have the money. What about my credit score?
You know,
What do you say to John when he says, what about my credit score?
who cares about your credit score? That's what I say.
I ran into this with my father, and it was, what do you need your credit score
Right.
for?
You don't need credit. You're already hip deep in debt. You're not going to be offered any more credit. And if you go to your grave with an 810 credit score, but owing $100,000 in debt that you still didn't pay, what good does that do you? Instead, get rid of the debt. Your credit score will heal itself. It will come back. Even 2 years later, you'll be back to the point where your credit score is good enough to get yourself a car, get yourself another credit card. But the reality is that you won't have any debt.
But Brian, don't you sometimes advise people if they're going to need a new car to do that prior to filing the bankruptcy?
But that's all about planning. That's strategic planning about when and where
Just
to do everything.
A real fast story on that, and actually I just lost my father, but I had all of these debates, and we've talked about it on the show and everything else. But he said to me, what if I need to buy a car? And I said to him when he was 88, are you crazy? You're not going to need to buy a car. We stopped paying his credit cards because I took care of his finances, and the following year his transmission went, and he went over to Avis Ford, and after 15 minutes he drove out of there with a car because Ford Credit still gave him credit for a car even when he hadn't made a credit card payment in 2 years. So the bottom line is, in our crazy world that we live in, which is totally insane anyhow, you can still get credit, you can still buy a car even if you're not paying your credit cards. But the point is, when you're elderly, you need to save your money because Medicare, lawyers, there's all sorts of expenses and things you need to spend money on as you get older. Medigap insurance is going to double. There's nothing you can do about it.
Prescriptions.
You have to protect yourself.
Your prescriptions are going through the roof at that
How
point.
long does a bankruptcy take?
A bankruptcy?
You got 40 seconds.
Okay, I can put
For
you.
John and Barbara,
I could file it tomorrow.
how many days do they have to go in court?
They have 1 5-minute hearing.
And it's just a meeting of creditors.
That's right. It's not even in front of a judge.
The bottom line is it's a simple process. If you have concerns about it, this is what I'm telling you to do. Call us, come in, take advantage of a free consultation. What we're about is making sure you get it right.
Make sure, too, if one of the parents pass away, because there's a whole new set of rules, too, they may not be responsible for their spouse's debt.
Tons of issues that way. So don't just start peeling off the dollars and giving them to people. It's the wrong thing to do. Have a good week. We will be back next week with Law and Reality.